you should know that by being a racing driver, you are under risks all the time. By being a racing driver means you are racing with other people. And if you no longer go for a gap that exists, you're no longer a racing driver. Because we are competing to win. And the main motivation to all of us is to compete for a victory.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to Masino and welcome to round 6 of the RaceFace.Pro PokerBet GT3 Sprint Series. My name is Stephen Koenig, and joining me in the box is your favorite voice, his favorite voice, her favorite voice, everyone's favorite voice, Tristan Herbs. Tristan, how are you doing?
I'm doing absolutely fantastic, and you, Stephen? It's looking to be a very dark and shady night here at Masano, but you know what they said, it's going to make for quite an interesting race. Drivers are going to have to pull some interesting tactics to keep themselves nicely on the racing line. So I'm excited. I don't know about you.
It's going to be a really, really exciting one, and it has been a very close championship so far, and drivers looking to really step it up here tonight at Masano. A track that, well, has a bit of a love-hate relationship for some, a lot going because of its track limits being absolutely devastating at the best of times, but we're going to see how the drivers are going to push their way around it here tonight. But let's go down to quali, because that is where it's all running and all coming alive. So as we take a look down to quali, it is very dark out there, Tristan. Headlights are ablaze and drivers are having to push themselves out a little bit more as it goes through, but at the moment it is Henry Mayer at the top of the charts, going and holding that first place spot with a 133.165, but championship rival Bernard Barkhuizen 133.4. Fleming Bauer lying in third place, Bago Krobler into fourth, Daniel Rowan fifth, Daniel the Hitman de Villiers lying in sixth, Jude Neville in seventh, eighth Ryan Barrington Smith, Gerrit Bucas in ninth, and 10th is Henry Plutt trying to make his way up through the order. Couple of interesting names have clawed their way to the top. Reginald Mutaleni currently sitting in 11th position. Chris Collison has moved himself up into 12th place. Vietia Buerta currently lying in 13th. Henk Petersen, Bradley Surley, Peter Meyer. I mean, you can go through the list, but there has definitely been a different change out towards the sharp end of the field. Oh, and
absolutely.
That is not what we want to see. Daniel Rowe in the wall, and that was a BMW of Rian Ferri that had a problem and a bit of a coming together in the final corner.
That was a little bit unfortunate to see some drivers just starting to push those cars as much as they can coming into the final 10 minutes or so into qualifying. We're going to go live on board here with Rian Ferri. He's got the likes of the championship contender there, Bernard Barkhuizen, putting a lot of pressure, and just getting a bit of a love tap coming out of that final corner.
And Daniel
Super
Rowe
unfortunate for both of them. And Daniel Rowe just receiving that little bit of a love tap on the exit curb. So a bit of a complicated collision that we've just seen there. A couple of drivers having to return to pit lanes. But speaking of it, Henry Mayer now setting the fastest lap time with a 1:33 flat. Absolutely incredible time from him, followed by his championship contender Bernard Barkhuizen, 0.4 seconds behind him. So he has got to do a little bit more to try and keep up with Mr. Mayer, putting a little bit of a fight up there at the top of the pack. But yeah, like you mentioned, Steve, we've got a lot of people who are starting to formulate themselves up on this grid that we haven't seen before. And one thing I can definitely mention from last week, I think they're going to prefer darkness over rain. We saw a lot of incidents last week, unfortunately, due to the amount of rain on that slippery Hungaroring. So drivers just need to be aware of what they're looking at instead of what they're feeling in the tires for tonight.
Yeah, and Chris Stolz in the Mustang looking to try and take it to the top, along with Werner Skuman. A lot of good things being said about the front engines here at Misano, because you can really attack those curbs compared to the mid engines that kind of have to stay away from it a bit. So I do think we will start to see the Aston Martins and the Ford Mustangs, even the likes of the BMWs, to start clawing their way to the victory side of things. But there's still a lot to go. Henry Mayer currently at the top of the charts, with Chris Stolz putting himself into second place. Ryan Barrington-Smith dropping down into fifth. Werner Skuman puts himself into sixth. So there's ups and downs, there's climbs all over, but there's still a couple of drivers needing to get times on the board. Hansi Myberg is one of them, along with Rian Fourie, Mustafa Norden, Dean Nokia, and Jean Mossart, who is starting, well, he's currently just sitting in the pits with the Audi R8, so not going out by the looks of it. Henry Mayer, though, putting in the best lap time, now is fastest through the first and second sector. Let's see if he'll be able to carry it all the way through. Drivers giving each other a little bit more room than usual, purely on the fact of a very dark circuit, plus headlights in your mirrors, never a bit of fun to deal with. But let's talk about the championship, because now we getting to the closing stages of this championship. We see Henry Mayer fighting out for that top spot. We have seen the last 2 rounds, he hasn't been successful against Bernard Barkhuizen. Do you think that's starting to weigh in his head?
It could potentially. I mean, we saw some dominating figures coming from Henry Mayer in a couple first rounds here at the RaceFace.Pro PokerBet GT3 Sprint Series. Obviously, we saw it at Laguna and round 2 at Monza. He was really dominatory. But yeah, like we mentioned, Bernard Barkhuizen has really brought it back in a couple of the past races, and stealing that podium position away from him. So it's gotten under his skin, I think. He's especially starting to put a lot more practice in. We can see it actually with the times now. Bernard Barkhuizen now 0.7 seconds down. He sets a lap now as he goes across the line. I don't think it's going to be faster, or he was just starting a lap over there.
No, unfortunately not faster. He retains in 5th place. So
yeah, so unfortunate stuff.
Look, I think you're right. Everyone stepped it up. They know that it's coming to the end of the championship. They know that there's 100,000 Rand on the cards, thanks to our title sponsor PokerBet for doing that. Then that's the exciting bit that comes up to it. So many of the drivers are looking to get those final grab on the points and really get themselves towards the top there. It's never an easy thing. It's something you've got to always consider of how you're going to grow and get yourself back on top. But how this is all going to turn out is beyond me, because I do think we're going to see a lot more changes, a lot more fights, and a lot more desperate moves to go and get those climbs. I mean, think about it this way. We are now in, let's compare it to rugby. If you're going on to PokerBet and you go and take a look at the rugby, or even the soccer that's going on, depending on whichever league you're watching, you're now into that second half. You're watching the players. You watch the guys explosive out the box. They're doing well. First half, great. Second half, it's now that desperation to grab whatever points there is, knowing that time is running out. There's not much left on the cards, and you're going to have to pull a rabbit out of the hat every step of the way now. This is where we're going to see moves of get it done, or you're going to lose out. For teams, it's get yourself to the top. I mean, this is where it's critical for sponsors, because they want to see what you do in the long game versus the short game. Because, yes, if you're going and playing the 10 Rand slot machines, you may get a win or two. But the question is when you start going for those thousands or millions of Rands, you got to start thinking what you're going to do. You're going to have to plan ahead of how you're going to go for the win. If you're sitting across the table with your opponent who's got his cards in his hand, you've got to know where those cards are going to be, what you're going to do. Think of all the different scenarios. And for your team, well, they're going to be watching very, very critically of this. I mean, Tristan, you know with your sponsors, with the Ominous Gaming team, of how critical these last stages of a championship truly are, because this is where the most eyes are.
Absolutely. And I mean, in the end of the day, like you mentioned, this isn't a 10-rand slot machine. This is unfortunately 8 adrenaline-filled rounds here at RaceFace. And, you know, we've only got 2 races left after Misano at Kailami and Nürburgring. So we are well over the halfway mark here. So, you know, this is especially where drivers who are very high up in that competing category, you know, looking more at our top 5s, in the current championship standings, this is where the pressure is really on for them. Not first round, not second round, not third round. It's actually coming on to the final couple of segments of the championship, where those couple of points in the final couple of rounds is what really does matter. We see it with the likes of Bernard Barkhuizen, and we see it with the likes of Henry Meyer, especially with those two, as they are currently the championship rivals. You know, it's a fight to the win, with 3 rounds left to go, including Misano over here. And these guys have, like we mentioned, everyone has had to up their game to try and keep up with the rest of the pack. You know, so now we, like we're seeing today, Henry Meyer is now leading with a 14th gap over Bernard Barkhuizen. Whereas, you know, we saw Zandvoort and Hungaroring, Bernard Barkhuizen was absolutely dominating. So it's a big switch-up game, and it's going to come down to the final wire, I think, Stephen.
Well, that's it, and that's why we love it. Motorsport is full of uncertainty, and if you don't believe me, well, go and take a look at Red Bull at this point. But here at Bukes, for the Sim Alpha team, trying to get a little bit more acceleration underneath his foot with the Ferrari, it does look like the livery hasn't quite pulled through for them, so it's quite unfortunate for the 333. But still at the top, Henry Meyer leading the charge. Bernard Barkhuizen running in second place in the final 2 minutes. Fleming Bauer running in third. Chris Stalls running in fourth. Ryan Barrington-Smith, Werner Skuman. Oh, I gotta say, 4th, 5th, and 6th. My favorite lineup. All V8s, all sitting together. I want to sit right there. Can I be right there, Tristan? I'll leave you be. I'll go and sit in between all of those monster V8s. Daniel De Villiers in the V10 Lamborghini, going and having a bit of fun out there, getting chased down by Mordre Claessens in the Porsche GT3R. Good to see him having a bit of fun. That is the 992 GT3R. Get really confused. Did you know that the Porsche Cup car, how's this one? I'm going to really test your mind here. Do you know Porsche had, they've got the 991, they had a 992, which is the latest. What do you think was the precursor to the 991 Cup car?
I actually have no idea. I've seen it. It's been quite weird actually with the naming conventions of the latest Porsches that have been released in the game. I mean, you see it sometimes where the Porsche is called the 992, but then in brackets it's called 991. So the cars are almost practically similar. The latest models, especially the 991 and the 992 GT3R. But unfortunately, when it comes to Cup, I have no idea what the differentiation factor is. So you're going to have to educate us, Stephen.
A 927 was before a 927. Before a 991, there was a 927. Don't think about it too hard, because I did, my brain caught fire. But yeah, go look at the precursor to the 991 Cup car, and you'll see that it's a bit of an odd naming convention there. It's the same as the numbers of the McLaren. As we see, the McLaren S720. What's this? This is 720S. That's
720S GT3 Evo. Yeah.
There we go. Comes across the line of Fleming Bauer, and then we have got Chris Stalls coming across the line with the Mustang. Can he increase out of 6th? And does so. Jumps himself to 2nd place. Werner Skuman is going to come across the line. Can he put himself out of 7th? Daniel De Villiers got into 5th. Werner Skuman holding 7th place. Oh, man. Chris Stalls, though, gotta say, absolutely blazes it into 2nd place in the Ford Mustang. Like, that puts him squarely in between. If you look at Henry Meyer, Chris Stalls, Fleming Bauer, Bernard Barkhuizen, Bernard's been split from his championship rival. He's got Fleming Bauer, who's going to back up Henry Mayer, and Chris Stills, who's looking to take the fight to both of them. The Delta negative driver going to be a positive influence at this point. Henk Pieterse going to come across the line out of 29th. Yes, gets himself into 27th. And Jody Seidman coming around along with Henry Plutt, trying to make up some time. Hansi Myberg across the line, unable to improve. Mustafa Nordin trying to improve. He's up 0.7 of a lap. Well. Let's see if the Ferrari can get it all sorted out. And can he get it across the line to jump out of 34th position? No, couldn't quite do it there.
That's unfortunate.
Oh, man. So close yet so far, as one would
Well,
say.
this is gonna play a very interesting starting grid then, Stephen. I mean, our championship rivals have been split by 2 positions in between them, which is a crazy interesting one. So,
Well,
yeah, we're gonna have to see how this grid plans out.
Let's take a break, and we will be back and taking a look over to our virtual grandstands. Well, Tristan, I got to say, there's one person that's been hanging around the PokerBet GT or the PokerBet VIP grandstands, Anushka Burta, going and keeping an eye out for the hubby. Except she's not down in the pits. She's actually enjoying the time out there in the virtual grandstands that PokerBet has put on, and also where she can also get involved and play some games out on PokerBet. Lots and lots of new things happening out there. But our racing has come to this. Round 6, Messino, and we have got a stacked field of 38 cars looking to rev it up and launch off the line with the eye on the prize of 100,000 Rand cash and PokerBet credits put together. It is going to be a wild one, that is for certain. I'm excited. I'm excited to see who's going to come out on top. And considering this is a 45-minute sprint race on a track that does hammer your tires, we're going to see lack of grip towards the end. Who's going to be able to get the climb? Who's going to be able to stretch their legs further? I mean, this is going to be madness. We have got Samir Brooks saying, good luck drivers, looking forward to exciting racing. So just lots of brilliant messages coming through. Man, oh man, this is going to be great. But talking about great, there is some amazing stuff happening at PokerBet. So if you correctly predict the final league standings for the SA and English leagues, you stand a chance of winning your share of the 3 million Rand with PokerBet Premier Predictor. So you heard me right, 3 million Rand up for grabs if you correctly predict the final league standings of the SA and English leagues to stand a chance of winning it. So there's something to look out for. I gotta say, if I had to put my predictions on tonight, I am going to bet that I'm going to put my foot in my mouth. That is the only certainty I have at this point.
I think that's the exact same certainty I've got, Stephen. I don't think that a prediction can be made because, the easiest presumption from all the past races we've seen here at the RaceFace.Pro PokerBet GT3 Sprint Series here at round 6 at Misano, all the previous ones that we've watched, we've had our 2 championship rivals right next to each other at the starting grid. One of them either being on the inside or outside line coming into turn 1, which would make a very interesting race. But on board with Henry Mayer now, you can just see a glimpse slightly in the background of Bernard Barkhuizen.
That's it. So Henry Mayer will be starting in first, Crystals in second place, Fleming Bauer in third, Bernard Barkhuizen in fourth place, Daniel the Hitman de Villiers in fifth, Ryan Barrington-Smith, Bego Krobler, Werner Skuman, Mordre Klaassen, Johan Kleinans, Gerrit Burgers, Dean Norkier, who is running in 12th, also was doing a test stream a little bit earlier and was trying to figure out where the throttle pedal is, which is always great to see. Gideon Reyna is in 13th, Daniel Rowe running in 14th, Paul Fenter, Jude Neville, Vietia Buerta, Reginald Mutaleni, which you actually had a chat to him about going and redesigning the livery to make it a little bit more pizzazz. Jean Faviers running in 19th, 20th, Brandon Holtzhausen along with Jody Seidman, do apologize, Harry Funzel, Chris Collison, along with Bradley Surley, Henry Plutt, Tianis Buerta, Henk Pieterse, Rowan van der Walt, Peter Meyer, Ruan Lindenberg, Ruan Ferry, Hansi Myberg, Altwin Buerta, Mustafa Nordin, Davy Dreyer, Jean Mozart, Jaco Krobler, and Dean de Priest running out our field here tonight, Tristan. as it does look like Tristan stepped out of the box to go and just have something to drink. We will get ready to go racing with Henry Mayer out at the top of the charts, looking to launch his way to the top. Chris Stoll's first time starting out at the sharp end of the field. Considering the start of the season, he has been fighting his way all the way through. The two teammates of Fleming Bauer and Henry Mayer looking to work together, and Bernard Barkhuizen running in 4th place, ready to go as they make their way around. Now heading towards the start-finish line, 1 corner to go. Lights ablaze, everyone at the ready. Stress levels through the roof. 100,000 Rand on the cards. Round 6 about to go green. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to RaceFace.Pro PokerBet GT3 Sprint Series as we get ready to go. Ready, steady, and green as we go off racing. And it does look like Henry Mayer off to a brilliant start. Chris Stoll's immediately to the middle of the track, trying to defend against Bernard Barkhuizen, closing off Fleming Bauer in the process. And it does look like, Barkhuizen going up on the inside of Fleming Bauer did give him a slight little bit of a nudge there. That slowed him up. It has allowed Ryan Barrington-Smith to get on the attack and go around the outside. He immediately loses out as Daniel the Hitman de Villiers with the Lamborghini launches up on the inside, followed by Bago Krubler, keeping his nose absolutely planted to the back of Ryan Barrington-Smith as they make their way through. But it does look like a bit of a nightmare run going down the road for the likes of Fleming Bauer. Ryan Barrington-Smith losing out to the likes of Bago Krubler, and immediately Werner Skuman up on the inside gets that pass done and launches his way past, gets into a fight side by side. 3 brutal V8s and only 1 comes out. Unfortunately, Ryan Barrington-Smith getting clipped on the way through there, was stuck as piggy in the middle, and unfortunately had that bit of contact. Dean Nokia a little bit further down, also getting involved in a bit of a scuff. Chris Stoll's though, Bernard Barkhuizen going at one another as they fight it out for 2nd place, but Henry Mayer long since checking out that fight. He is now trying to open up the gap a little bit wider at the moment. He's getting reports from Fleming Bauer saying, okay, buddy, we need to step it up here. I've got to get onto the back of them. You either back them up to me or you need to get out of our way because we're going to come as a train past you, if anything. So Fleming Bauer's right up against the back of Bernard Barkhuizen, who is going to try and look at Crystals, look for the inside line, couldn't get it, jumping over the curb, can't utilize too much of that, otherwise you will land up with a drive-through penalty very, very quickly. As Bernard Barkhuizen drops a wheel onto the dirt, trying to get himself a little bit closer, lost the drive out. Suddenly he had Fleming Bauer look up on the inside, go and snap around him, trying to nip at the heels of the OG. And now Daniel de Villiers is creeping in, seeing that weakness is abroad. A little bit further down the order, we have got Mordred Claessens in 9th position. He's dealing with Gideon Rayner, who's been on charge all season, had some twos and fro's though, so he's looking to defend against Daniel Rowe, the master VW driver, now in the BMW, trying to make his way a bit closer to Gideon Rayner at the moment, with Mordred Claessens just ahead of him, the Porsche lover that has been practicing in a cup car, and hence why I did bring it up. There you go, bring it all back full circle as race goes on. Reginald Mutalini dealing with Jude Neville a little bit further back, as Jude Neville trying to get a little bit of time to catch up to Reginald Mutalini. But the racing now starting to open up as everything starts to get rolling here at Casino. Remember the track temperature, 23 degrees out here. It is more of a sunnyish weather at night, but do expect the tires to hit that drop-off point. And once they come down, that lack of grip will become more and more prevalent. So the driver's going to have to be aware of how hard they're pushing for this race, who will be able to gain that little bit of time, as we do see the fastest lap time being set by Henry Mayer as he looks to break away from the field of Crystals and Bernard Barkhuizen, who will be absolutely on the charge right now to try and make up some time. So Bernard Barkhuizen, once again, peering to the inside, couldn't quite get that pass done. Second guessed it, backed off it. Another battle going on. Werner Skuman dealing with Johan Kleinans, who is onto the back of him, the Delta negative driver, trying to make up some time to his teammate running in 2nd place, might I add. So Werner Skuman's either going to pull him along or it's going to land up in a world of hurt on the way through. So Mordred Claessens, Gideon Rayner getting onto the back of him, trying to make up some time as well, Absolutely tremendous run from all our drivers off the bat, starting to get that drive, and we'll have to go really rocking and rolling. This is going to be a proper charge for our drivers on the way through, though. Gideon Reyna onto the back of Mordre Claessens, looks for that inside line, backed out of it. He's going to drive the keep in the toe, pull himself along, diving for the inside, probably into the double right-hander if he could get it right. Try to go for it, just not close enough to capitalize. Going to go out a little bit deeper. Mordre Claessen, though, keeping his foot on the gas, late on the brakes, very early on the apex, and Gideon Reyna running right into the dirt as well, trying everything to put the nose underneath that Porsche as quick as possible on the way through. We do see a little bit of contact, though, coming from the 77 and 42 car. Sorry, the one... well, never mind. We've actually got multiple incidents happening out on track. One of them is the 77 and 42. Let's go back a bit and take a look. This is Reginald Muttolini. He's battling it out against Jude Neville. Jude trying to go around, dives up on the inside, late on the anchors. Ferrari trying to give it everything it's got. And unfortunately, both understeering a bit. There's the side-on contact. Nothing too drastic there. Just a little bit of a love tap to let him know, hey, listen, I am around. And don't get too comfortable. 145 and 30 having a bit of contact. And that, unfortunately, is Jaco Krobler getting a bit of contact against one of the Pandassi BMWs. Oh, no, never mind. There was a McLaren in the way as well. Just can't see who that is. That is number 30 McLaren, and that is Dean DePries. That got a little bit squirrely with Jaco Krobler trying to put his nose in and saying, right, buddy, you got to move out the way. Chris and Harry Van Zyl also getting caught up in a bit of trouble with Peter Meyer lying in 23rd. But take a look at Bradley Surley up on the outside, trying to get past Jean Fiers, who is really battling it out, going side by side with him. But unfortunately, didn't have the straight line. Bradley Surley, though, is going to try and step up to the gas a little bit, try and close down to Peter Meyer and Harry Van Zyl, who's on the charge. Chris trying to get onto the back of Dean, who is now off circuit, losing a lot of time there. Dean has lost out 2, going 3 positions, and now just trying to hang on for dear life as he's got Harry Van Zyl and Peter Meyer onto the back of him. Both pushing as hard as they can, both trying to get it all together as they make their way through, but it's getting a bit wild at the back. Harry Van Zyl, Peter Meyer, Bradley Surley, Jean Fiers, Tiernis Buerta getting involved in the fight, and Rome van der Walt going for the inside line into turn 1. Couldn't quite make it stick, but honestly, well done to try and get a little bit more braver. Go for those odd attacks on one another. Gideon Reyna and Mordre Claessens having a good go with one another, but it does look like they killed off their drive, and Daniel Rowe starting to get a little bit closer as we see Gideon Reyna up on the inside, forcing Mordre off the apex. That is going to make life a little bit more difficult. Does lose out a little bit of drive. Mordre Claessens trying to put on a little bit of a squeeze, middle of the circuit. Gideon Reyna can't quite go for the apex, and this is always difficult through the long right-hander because you need to put your front wheels in. He gets stuck on the outside, picking up all the marbles onto those tires. It's going to get very, very slick under braking. So he's flat out through this section, hard on the anchors, and suddenly there's a BMW that's going and putting his nose up. And Daniel Rowe not backing out of the fight, wanted to be a part of it. Gideon Reyna, contact with Mordre Claessens, cross-armed, but he gets it back. Mordre Claessens loses out position, trying to drag race against Daniel Rowe over the curb. And oh man, that is going to be a track limit exposed for him. Not ideal circumstance there. Gerrit Bukes immediately trying to close up their advantage, and Paul the Wall Fenter, my heavens, is on the charge. And he immediately getting hooked by Bukes as they come across the nose. And Ryan Barrington-Smith gaining a position. So Bukes, unfortunately, gets hooked on the back. And it goes for a little bit of a whoopsie-daisy moment. And I know Paul Fence is going to go, sorry, bud, that wasn't intentional. But let's go to Tim in the helicam for that one on the replay and see exactly. This is Bukes trying to get onto the back, loses out the drive through the final corner. Now heading into turn 1, Paul Fenton trying to come back at him. Bukes trying to come across. Oh, just didn't quite know. Paul's nose was just there. And landed up with him getting twisted around ever so slightly. Still in the race, but definitely not having an enjoyable time there. Will be kicking himself a little bit. But we still keep an eye. Muldrake Larson's onto the back of Daniel Rowe, trying to open up that gap. I mean, this is a proper run. And just getting reports out there, Tristan Herbs, who has been having a little bit of technical difficulties. No, I want to get this straight, folks. Tristan Herbs, who is my co-commentator that you heard earlier tonight, going and chatting, he is currently on holiday. This chap has taken his computer and his entire setup on a holiday to try and be a voice here for the RaceFace.Pro GT3 Sprint Series. Unfortunately, it didn't work, but if you want to talk about the level of commitment that it goes into, that is one. So Tristan is now going to be enjoying down in the VIP grandstands, out there at the PokerBet grandstands, going and logging on to PokerBet, being part of all that show, because that's where the fun rolls in. That's where all the action is. Tristan, enjoy the kickback, sit back, enjoy, and go and enjoy all the games there with PokerBet, because there is so much to talk about. So, with everything going on, we're at 34 minutes left of this race, and Bago Krubler onto the back of Daniel, the Hitman de Villiers, as they charge their way through. Not going to be an easy time, though, as they battle out, but Bago just trying to close up those gaps as quick as he can onto Daniel de Villiers, as Henry Mayer opened up a 4-second gap to Crystals. Bernard Barkhuizen lying in third, Fleming Bauer in fourth, Daniel de Villiers running in fifth with Bago Krubler all over the back of him. Werner Schumanns dealing with Johan Kleinans on the back of him, as the Mustangs claw their way back into the fight and looking to go and really slug it out between one another. But it looks like Werner Schumann just opening up that gap a little bit more. On the other hand, Daniel the Hitman de Villiers, unfortunately, going and losing out a little bit of drive. He's going to have to try and get it back. Gets a snap under the rear of the Lamborghini. Suddenly the Aston Martin of Bago up against that right-hand door is really going to chase him down into turn one. Who is going to be brave on the brakes here? De Villiers going way to the outside. Going to try and swoop across the nose. Does just get across the nose of Krubler to just slow him down enough for the corner. Krubler getting properly unsteady on the anchors. Has to try and dial himself back in. But it is dark out there, folks. And what does that mean? Well, life gets a bit interesting in the car. As you can see, you can only look as far as the headlights will take you. And with the glaring headlights behind you, it doesn't make life any easier. And for the likes of Daniel de Villiers, he is also going to be experiencing that same issue. As suddenly, he's having to defend tooth and nail. Literally just watching that solo mirror in the middle, and his wing mirrors will be forgotten about at this point, because they are just getting a huge amount of light pumped through them. It makes them unbearable to look at, especially if you're running triples or if you're running VR. Yes, if you're running those type of setups, that triple screen that wraps around you, or the VR, you got that light going and pounding to the sides of your head, much like when you're on the highway and you're getting it all in. One thing I gotta say I love about the cars is the glow of the exhaust from the Aston Martin and the Mustang, as Werner Schumann all over the back of Bago Krubler, going and putting a huge pressure. Bago Krubler sliding around, trying to pull it back into check, not able to get the run as quick as he would like. He's going to have to try and absolutely floor it at this point to try and break away. Going to be a very tight towards it, as Werner Schumann late on the anchors tries to close up the gap. Johan Kleinans now joining into that fight, is suddenly now on the back of the train and can capitalize on going for a pass anytime he feels like. So he's going to just wait it out with Werner Schumann looking to be a little bit more aggressive. Bago Krubler going and losing that rear little by little. So it seems like pressure's becoming a bit of an issue, and those rears are starting to step out underneath the Aston Martin. And I think Daniel will be breathing a sigh of relief there for Team PWSR at this point, as he tries to keep it all together with Bago Krubler of Hybrid Racing on the back of him, Werner Schumann of Pandacity versus the likes of Delta Negative of Johan Kleinans, going and pushing himself out a little bit more. Tries to look around the outside, couldn't get it done. He outbreaks himself. Werner Schumann, though, taking very defensive inside line. Bago Krubler goes for the inside line. Going to go side by side with Daniel de Villiers. Side by side they go. Will Daniel have the legs to outstretch Bago Krubler as they go into the right-hander? And it doesn't look like it, because suddenly Werner Schumann has gone and got himself past. So Werner Schumann dives up on the inside, Tried getting the pass all hooked in, couldn't quite get it done. Unfortunately, Bago Krobler getting out of the clutches of Daniel de Villiers. Werner Skuman loses out a little bit of time as Kleinun's now around the outside. Going to battle back at him. Tries to go side by side. And Kleinun's gets the pass, hooked in, done, dusted, on the throttle. And there we go. Mustangs charging their way through. Now Kleinun's going to defend the inside line. Going to try and keep it for himself on the way through. Late on the brakes. Jumps over the curbs. Werner Skuman coming back at him. Will have the inside line. And let's see how this is going to go out. Both Mustangs galloping to try and get past. Skuman sliding the car out. Trying to bring it all back. As the two of them go late on the anchors once again. But unfortunately, Skuman run out wide. And Kleinun's able to just defend it back. Gideon Reyna, though, has got himself a little bit closer. We do see yellow flags for the 433 car. And also for the double two. And that is Werner Skuman. So he did have a bit of contact going into the corner with the likes of de Villiers. I would think, yes, it would be the snap here. Slightest of touches. And, touch from the double two. Sorry, that was Kleinun. So gave him just a little bit of a nudge there just to let him know. But back up through the top end of the order, Bernard Barkhuizen onto the back of Chris Stalls. Now, we were talking about the likes of Johan Kleinun's of Delta Negative, but now we have got the likes of Bernard Barkhuizen going and chasing down Chris Stalls, who's trying to get away from the McLaren. Going to have a little bit more rotation here, but can't jump the curbs. Not liking them as much as the Mustang. So Chris can really get defensive, hog those inside lines, really run over the curbs, let the car bounce a little bit compared to the McLaren, where Bernard Barkhuizen, every time he jumps over it, he's got to be careful for a snap that will come out underneath him if he pushes that way too hard. Darren busy going to say, come on, Hitman. Going and cheering in from the crowd there, joining us this late in the evening here at Misano as we enjoy our night race for all to see. But this is a fight out currently for the likes of second place, and you do not want to miss out on it. It is going to be a wild, wild turn of events. 28 minutes to go, and Chris Stalls now starting to open up that gap. Let's head down to Mordred Claessen's duking out with Paul Fenter. As Paul Fenter trying to make up some time, he's getting and pulling on his teammate, Ryan Barrington-Smith, who's going to just tag along at this point, try and pull him back into the fight, and really get back in, clawing away for victories here. So this is not going to be an easy time. Paul's got to be very careful, as we see Dean Nokia going and getting a drive-through penalty. And we also saw the number 13 getting a drive-through penalty as well. So we've had two drive-through penalties come through. And that would be Davy Dreyer and the likes of Dean Nokia getting a drive-through penalty so early on into the race as they fought their way through. So definitely not ideal circumstances there. But it does show you how these drivers are going and pushing the track limits. They're seeing where they could go. But our stewards, even though it's dark, they've been having plenty of carrots to ensure that they could see it all. There's no getting away from them, and they will be the all-seeing eyes around the circuit, so can't push your luck. Paul Fenter trying to push his luck onto the back of Mordred Claessen's. The Pandassi driver looking to battle it out with the veteran Paul Fenter, who is properly in charge and is bringing his teammates along for the ride as well. So Mordred Claessen's got to be very careful. He knows once that door is punched open, he has got a really, really tough time ahead of him. Here at Bucas and Jude Neville fighting it out between one another. Jude closing up under braking, and Bucas now having to just defend as his life depends on it for 14th and 15th position as it stands. But the drivers really starting to give it everything they got. Bradley Surley, Johan Verveers, they going and having a good fight between one another. And see Vietia Buerta in the pits, unfortunately stopped and 2 laps down. So I think something has gone on with that car. And Vietia Buerta having to retire it. Dean DePries and Henry Platt trying to make their way around the circuit. We did see an accident with the 388, and that was Vietia Buerta early on. So let's see, this was side by side with one of the hybrid racing BMWs early on in the race. And that's Dean Nokia, that's actually on his outside. So Dean Nokia tried to go for a cutback. Vietia tried coming across the nose. No room to go for it. runs out wide. Oh, just plays ping pong against one of the other Mustangs. And that is why the car was unable to get going. Bounced around. Hopefully they could get that car up and going and get back out. I mean, come on. It is the third last race of the season. Mordrake Larson's dealing with Paul Venter. Closed up right under braking. Paul goes with that huge send. Mordrake Larson's tried closing the door on him. Couldn't quite get it done. Paul Venter tried launching it. And unfortunately, the two of them coming to blows with one another. And now, all of a sudden, Ryan Barrington-Smith going to get into the fray of it. So let's actually go back to the helicam there and take a look, because that was a dive of note to try and get past. And I think it was just try and force a move to happen. Paul Venter comes across, switches back. And there is one move. Tries to go for the inside line. Oh, there's a contact. Mordrake trying to turn, and unfortunately a bit of understeer kicking in did throw Paul Venter out a bit. So I'm sure a bit of heated rivalry underneath those helmets, but the drivers are going to also go and take a look and say, right, it's all on the cards here. We got to risk it for the biscuits. And when you got some amazing defense plays, like what you got Paul Venter, Mordrake Larson's, Ryan Barrington-Smith, that do know how to go door to door with one another, not afraid to do it, and have told each other, listen, we're going to share paint, guys. If you go and challenge and defend, get ready to share some paint on the car. We will fight you, and we'll fight you hard. And that has been the agreement amongst all the drivers here tonight for the RaceFace.Pro PokerBet GT3 Sprint Series, especially with the final closings of it. Ryan Barrington-Smith out on the outside, comes across, trying to get a little bit of drive, gets thrown out to the dirt. He's going to try and just steamroll past. Paul Venter's going to try and put him in the middle. And Mordrake Larson's goes for the defense, goes around the outside. Suddenly, Ryan Barrington-Smith comes across. He lands up getting and fouling up. Oh, he gets a bit of contact, though. Does bring it back. Paul Venter sneaks on by. Mordrake Larson's, unfortunately, got swamped into that fight. And that went not quite the way he wanted, because suddenly it all went wrong. So, let's take a look from a different camera angle now, as Mordrake Larson's gets put in the middle by the LNR team. And suddenly Paul Venter tries to swap it around. Ryan Barrington-Smith comes across late on the apex, does slow up a little bit, trying to make the corner around. There's a contact with Mordrake Larson's, as he is trying to just get that car straight on. And all of a sudden, Paul Venter getting the pass done and dusted. Both LNR cars now going to do a little bit of flying high, as Mordrake Larson's onto the back of him. Will try and force Paul Venter into a mistake here. So let's see how much pressure can he put on Paul Venter to make this happen. But slowly, Jude Neville, Gerrit Bucas, and Jody Seidman making up a bit of ground. So this is where you got to start thinking about the long game. Is it worth getting into this fight? Is it worth going elbow to elbow with one another? Or is it going to be just backing it off a little bit and see where you could go? Mordrake Larson's a little bit deep into the corner there. Tires are starting to look a bit red. So he's going to have to just back it off, let it cool down, and come back into the fight once again. So lots and lots going on throughout our running order. So let's go and work through our running order, as Henry Mayer's in first, followed by Chris Sills, Bernard Barkhuizen, Fleming Power, Beggar Krubler, Daniel De Villiers, along with Johan Kleinans, Werner Skuma, Killian Renner, Daniel Rowe lying in 10th position, Ryan Barrington-Smith in 11th, 12th position, Paul Venter, Mordrake Larson, Stu Neville, and along with Gerrit Bukes, Jody Seidman, Brandon Holzhazen, with likes of Reginald Mutileni. We did see both of them land in a bit of a problem earlier on in the race. Tianas Burta with Bradley Surley, Peter Meyer, Kerry Van Sale trying to close up that gap as much as possible. He is getting chased down by Jean Verveers, Ron van der Walt, Chris Collerson, along with Hansi Myberg, Bradley Liebenberg, Altman Burta, Rian Free, Henry Platt, along with Jaco Krobler and Jean Mossad, who is, whoa, in the wall. The number 17 having a bad run through there. And let's see if we can go back. He looks like he had contact with the 145 car. So, side by side with our 37. That is Tianas Burta and Jaco Krobler trying to get on by. Does look like Henry Platt trying to make his way through. 3 wide into turn 1. Bad idea. And Jaco Krobler gets turned around. He has a bit of contact and lands up getting turned around. But that did not explain why number 17 is suddenly parked off and still parked off. So Jean Massart, who is now then taken back to pits from what I can see, running all fine. Did he lose a bit of traction though that threw the car off? No, he had extreme hardware failure. Nope, even then, just landed in the dirt. Strange. Very, very strange. We'll find out at some point, that's for certain. But what we will find out, though, is a drive-through penalty for Daniel Rowe, who is now dropping down the order like a brick at this point. So something has gone on with Daniel Rowe. He got over those track limits, and that throws him way out of the top 20 in 2 seconds flat. So Henry Meyer, Crystals, and Bernard Barkhuizen are free to do their own fight. Fleming Bauer and Bego Krobler missing his teammate now. Johan Kleinans dealing with Daniel de Villiers, Werner Skuman, and Gideon Redem closing up some time. Going a little bit further back in the field, Reginald Mutoleni and Tianas Buerta fighting it out. Tianas trying to look up on that inside of Reginald. Couldn't get it quite done as they are catching up to Brandon Holthazer just ahead of them. Brandon in the Mustang. Going to be seeing these two McLarens absolutely fighting tooth and nail, scratching at each other. Just seeing who's going to be able to play the best cards here. Who's going to play, who's going to hold, who's going to fold. We're about to see it. It's Tianas Buerta up on the inside. Can he go for late braking? Tries his luck, launches up on the inside, and allows Reginald Mutoleni a bit of space on the right hand. Jude Neville, though, gets a drive-through penalty. Jude Neville's got a drive-through penalty. They're starting to come thick and fast, folks, as we do see Reginald Mutoleni off into the dirt. So he's going to have a bit of a problem and trying to bring it back. De Villiers dealing with Skuman as they are on top of one another. Viertier going and saying, unfortunately, not quite what he wanted to have and got caught out. Well, Viertier, if you want to have a quick chat, we've got 19 minutes of this amazing action. But let's see if we can try and get you on air just to quickly have a chat to you on so far the season, how it's been, and if there's a chance that that car will be able to get out and see the checkered flag tonight for the final, time here at Messino, and considering it is the last season. So let's see if we can try and get Viertier Buerta, who's unfortunately looks like he may have retired the car along with Jean Massart, Daniel Rose in the pits, Henk Peterson, Viertier Buerta. So let's see if we can try and get them just to have a quick chat, get a little bit of a breakdown of what's been going on with the racing thus far. Werner Skuman trying to battle on to the back of Hitman and seeing if he can really close up to De Villiers. De Villiers onto the back of Johan Kleinans is going to be trying to force a way to get by. Not going to be any easy time here. Kleinans is going to battle his way to hold his position as they make their way through. Considering they are fighting 4 points, they are really pushing as hard as they can. But at the moment, Henry Meyer, long since checked out of the fight, 5.5 seconds away from Crystals, and Bernard Barkhuizen, who is trying to close up for Crystals, needs to just do everything he can. So we're getting reports. Viertier Buerta currently being pit crew, so he's going and chatting. He's taken off his helmet, and he is now trying to provide some insightful information out on the circuit to his team. Brandon Holthazen dealing with Tianas Buerta, and now trying to go late on the anchors. Tianas not able to get past Brandon Holthazen just as yet, but is properly giving that Mustang a good run for its money. Brandon going and stretching his legs a little bit now, trying to get past, and suddenly Tianas Buerta up on the inside, trying to put his nose in, couldn't get it done, gets immediately back on the power, really trying to slam it right behind the Mustang as quick as he can. Brandon Holthazen's going to be galloping right to the line here. With 16 minutes to go, it is all or nothing for our drivers to ensure that they stand on the top right here at the RaceFace.Pro PokerBet GT3 Championship Sprint Series. So, a couple of things happening on PokerBet is you've got to correctly predict the final league standings for the SA and English leagues to stand a chance of winning 3 million rand, folks. So just take a look down in the description for it. And we've also got to mention that Players of the Series wins a trip to Las Vegas and over 3 million rand guaranteed across all 6 events for our amazing SA Online Poker Series that's brought to you by PokerBet. So keep an eye on it. join up, be a part of all the fun. And if you make it to Las Vegas, do send me a postcard. Or even just get a fridge magnet for those that can't make it. Big slide for Werner Skuman, though. And that's allowed Gideon Reyna to get a bit closer. Johan Kleinans and Daniel de Villiers going and closing up onto the back of one another, trying to really claw their way to victory. Bernard Barkhuizen onto the back of Crystals, trying to push for that second place. He wants to keep the championship hopes alive. And Henry Mayer at this point is starting to run away a little too far ahead of him. So Crystals, he can be the absolute kink in the armor for Bernard Barkhuizen. Henry Mayer, who's opened up that monstrous gap just ahead, running 5.5 seconds up the road. Bernard Barkhuizen's going to try to close up on him. Late on the anchors, tries to turn it in, get a little bit more rotation. Early on the power, not putting it all the way to the curbs. He's got to follow it through right to the wall, keeping in that slipstream. Keep it as tight as you can, braking early, slight lift, so he doesn't have any problems into turn one. Try to bring it back, looks for the inside line, couldn't get the cut back. Got to try get right underneath, heading into about turn 4, turn 5 to put that nose in. It's got to be an all or nothing charge to get your nose underneath that Mustang as quick as possible. Utilize whatever curb you can, really testing the limits of what you can do, but you don't want to go too far and land up with a drive-through penalty, as we saw with Daniel Rowe very quickly going and dropping out of that top 20 just in a blink of an eye. Another close train, though, is de Villiers, Kleinans, and Skuman all over the back of one another. And Gideon Reyna still staying in for the attack as much as he wants to be a part of it as well. De Villiers for PWSR has got the Delta negative, going and being quite positive in this regard. Werner Skuman trying to get by. But we start to see some close racing. Bernard Barkhuizen side by side with Crystals. A little bit of argy-bargy, straight lining it down towards the wire. It is into the right-hander. Both not backing out of the fight. Chris is going to do it everything he can. Tries to run out a little bit wide. Hard on the anchors. Tries to look for a bit of a cutback. Unfortunately, slowed up way too much there just to make the corner. And that absolutely decimated his drive against Bernard Barkhuizen, who gets that second place. Johan Kleinans onto the back of Skuman. These two rubbing noses with one another. Now it's allowed de Villiers to break away. It's allowed Gideon Reyna to get into the fray of things. Werner Skuman goes up on the inside. Couldn't quite get it all hooked in. Kleinans running it out to the fringe of the circuit, trying everything he can early on the brakes. Tries to just keep it as tight as possible. Now Gideon Reyna has closed up onto the back of him. It's going to be piggy in the middle here for Werner Skuman, but he can open the door. If he can put his nose in and force Kleinans offline, it will open the door for Gideon Reyna, who I think at this point is not going to go on the attack. It's going to just rather wait it out, get nice and close right behind, wait for that opportunity, and once the door opens, go for it. That's what you need to do right here. And unfortunately for Kleinans, getting a very poor drive out of the corner. Gets a light tap on the rear from Skuman, who didn't get that awful drive. He got a fantastic drive. But Kleinans was a bit of the linchpin in the plan. Gideon Reyna tries to look for the inside line. He second-guessed the option. Rather went out late, having to just correct under the braking. That car squirreling underneath him to just try and keep it all together. So, monster racing has been going on right the way through, as Kleinans and Werner Skuman still going to war with one another. Kleinans lying in 7th place, with Skuman in 8th at the moment, trying to go for a little bit of a launch pass. Can't quite get it all hooked up as yet. Gonna be late on the anchors, try and get the pass done. Oh, just couldn't. Kleinans tried his luck there. Skuman gonna try and come back at him. Not able to get that pass on the inside, just constantly hunting him down. But both Mustangs so evenly matched. Going further down the grid, 20th, 21st, and 22nd. Peter Meyer, Sean Verveers, and Ruben van der Walt all over the back of one another. Van der Walt has been getting quicker and quicker, with Verveers also trying to step up his game onto the back of Peter Meyer. He's going to go late as he can into the corner. Peter Meyer, who is defending for the Ominous Gaming PokerBet team. And that is the main team of the Ominous Gaming, as we heard from Tristan early on. So this is fantastic stuff to go and see. Drivers really stepping up the mark. So this little train going and doing quite a fantastic job there. Gideon Reyna in 9th place onto the back of Werner Skuman, as Skuman's lost out the drive to Kleinans, and you can see De Villiers has opened himself up into a good gap at the moment, breathing a sigh of relief, figuring out what can he do, how can he focus on the charge, and De Villiers getting a shout out straight from the team captain himself, Alan Patterson, saying, "Go Daniel, hold on, hang in there," as they make their way through. Always great to see that enthusiasm, that shouting, that passion coming and erupting from our grandstands out there in the virtual grandstands and in our PokerBet VIP grandstands, which you guys are all being a part of. Taking a look to the right-hand side of me, I can see you guys out there having a party and enjoying yourselves and having a huge fun. Make sure you save some of the platters for me, guys. It's always great to be there. It's always a party. Make sure you just jump into the pool. Gideon Reyna, though, going after the back of Werner Skuman, trying to force his way by. Can't quite get it done. Gideon Reyna does everything he can to try and bring it back, as our drivers really force their way towards the top. Not going to be an easy charge, but at the moment, Henry Mayer leads out the top running order, with Bernard Barkhuizen in 2nd place. Crystal's running in 3rd. Fleming Bauer in 4th, along with Bego Krubler, Daniel the Hitman De Villiers, Johan Kleinans, Werner Skuman, Gideon Reyna, who is now onto the back of him, Ryan Barrington-Smith, Paul Fenter, Mordrake Larsons, Gerrit Bukes, Jody Seidman, Brandon Holthazen, Tiernas Buerta, Reginald Muteleni, Bradley Surley, Kerry Van Zale, along with Peter Meyer, who is still getting chased down by Jean Verveers, Ron van der Walt, Chris Collison in 23rd, 24th, Hansi Myberg, Ultimate Buerta, Ruan Ferry, Ruan Liebenberg, and along with Henry Platt, dives up on the inside, trying to get the pass done against Porsche. Whoa! And it does look like Ruan getting very unsteady out of the corner, leaned quite a bit onto Henry Platt, who was unfazed by that, and Henry moving up position. Ruan down in 28th, 29th, Jaco Krobler, Dean DePries, Jean Mossad, and then the cars lying in the pits, Daniel Rowe, Henk Peterson, Vietia Buerta, retiring their vehicles, unfortunately, for whatever reason has come about it. But we did see a little bit of contact earlier with the number 22 and the 433 car. Let's actually go to our helicam quickly to take a look at that. And that was Werner Skuman making up some time. He is the Mustang, the Pandacity, lying in 2nd on the screen that you see ahead. And then Johan Kleinans in the purple. And it does look like there's the contact. Kleinans getting a big slide after that tag. Was able to bring it back, but that allowed Werner Skuman to lose out too much time. And Gideon Reyna has closed up the gap right onto the back of him. He's going to try and force a mistake out of him now and see whether he's going to cave in at this point. So Gideon Reyna on the charge, looking to make that climb. So we jump on board with him, holding the revs right up towards the top. He's not going through the gears quickly, so he is just dead focused on the car ahead of him. 3rd gear, 4th gear, let's see how long he holds it. He's holding a long time in 3rd, just to try and get himself sorted. So maybe just seeing where he's going to lose out that little bit of drive as he tries to catch up to Werner Skuman. Ryan Barrington-Smith a little bit far behind, but you can see just in shot, getting an eye out there saying, okay, there's an opportunity here. As our drivers make their way through for the RaceFace.Pro PokerBet GT3 Sprint Series. And Werner Skuman all over the back of Johan Kleinans. Kleinans trying to make up some time. Has closed up a little bit to Daniel the Hitman De Villiers. So let's see if Daniel De Villiers will be able to break out of this. He's holding 6th place at the moment. Lost out a lot of time to Bego Krubler. He's down 10 seconds. So that top 5 is out of the cards for him at the moment, unless something goes on. But 6th place is well alive at this point for 4 drivers. Daniel De Villiers, Johan Kleinans, Werner Skuman, and Gideon Reyna, all in a proper fight with one another. A little bit further down, 20th, 21st, and 22nd, Jean Verveers has got Peter Meyer all over the back of him. Peter's going to try look around for the inside line. Tries to put that nose right up on the inside. Couldn't get it done. And, oh, bit of contact. And that's fouled up into Harry Van Zale into the door. And that looks like it also caught Chris out. So one foul move. Suddenly, Peter Meyer took a gambling move rolled the dice, and got a whole lot of snake eyes on the way through. That is not ideal. I do want to say a shout out though, because down into the last 6 minutes, Daniel Rowe has got the car back out of the pits, so he's got to still serve that drive-through. But he is out of the pits. He's rejoined the race to see the checkered flag through to the end. So well done on that one. Still got the penalty, still got the ouchie, but still going to see the end. Peter Meyer onto the back of Chris. Couldn't quite get the braking down there. Lost out a bit of time. Jody Seidman having a good go at Brandon Holthazen. They are fighting out for 14th and 15th at the moment. Jody doing everything he can for the Delta Negative team, utilizing different colors on the McLaren compared to the Delta Negative purple that we have come to know and love. Vernon Skuman going all over the back of Johan Kleinans, who's wearing that purple, but suddenly De Villiers is a lot closer to Kleinans. So this is not ideal circumstances for the Lamborghini of Daniel De Villiers, who is now going to have to really dial it up, because 0.5 of a second behind him is two very, very, very angry Mustangs. They are looking to get past, and a very opportunistic Ferrari 296 of Gideon Reyna of Ominous Gaming. So, going to be an interesting one here, and our four teams are going to look to battle it out. Gideon Reyna trying to look for a pass on Werner Skuman as he closes up that gap. And suddenly Johan Kleinans on the back of De Villiers, making up a lot of time here to try and get a pass done and dusted. Not going to be an easy one though. And we do see a fight out going for third. And that is Fleming Bauer and Chris Stolz are on top of one another. So this is getting wild up and down through the order in the final 4 minutes of the race. And it is all or nothing for our drivers to really stand on the gas to ensure that they stand towards the sharp end of the field. Late on the anchors, trying to turn. Kleinans couldn't quite get it all sorted out. Suddenly, Werner Skuman going to go and really put the pressure back on him to ensure he can stay into that fight. So Werner Skuman waiting for the door to open. De Villiers going and trying to hold it shut. He is using both hands, all 10 fingers and all toes at this point, including the pinky toe, to hold that gate shut as hard as possible, because he doesn't want these two going and throwing down the cards and saying, right, we're going all in, full house, charging through. 3 minutes and 40 seconds to go, and I can tell you that the pit lane has come alive. I can currently see the PWSR team on the pit wall, the Delta Negative team on the pit wall, Pandacity on the pit wall, and OG currently on the pit wall, shouting out to these drivers, calling for them to really push it to the top, to see who can get that top spot. As we do see Jaco Krobler, he just dives out of the way. He doesn't want any part of it. He stays right out of the way, ensuring that he doesn't get involved in any of the fights there. De Villiers now having to just try and contend as we see the glowing exhaust off that V10 Lamborghini Huracan Evo 2, battling it out against the Ford Mustang GT3 of Werner Skuman, and Kleinans all on to the back of him, trying to push as hard as he can here. We do see a bit of contact. Jody Seidman and Tiernas Burta have come together, and Jody Seidman gets the position back, but spins it out. Oh, it brings it right across the nose of Tiernas Burta. I mean, this is going wild. Fleming Bauer all over the back of Chris Stolz. This is fighting it out properly till the line. So Chris Stolz is trying to hold on to third place in the final 2 minutes and 28 seconds. Fleming Bauer going to give everything he's got. Martian Racing has run to the pit wall. They have slammed themselves against it. Everyone up against the fences because it is wild. Third place is on the line here. Chris Stolz doing everything he can to hold back Fleming Bauer. Bago Krobler too far back. Daniel De Villiers is on the defense to Johan Kleinans. Werner Skuman and Gideon Reyna are going at each other. It is alive, it is well, it is insane, folks, as we're seeing all the teams going and wearing their hearts on their sleeves for the third final round of our GT3 Sprint Series, powered by RaceFace and brought to you by PokerBet. We are getting to see it all come alive, all come unglued. This has gone wild. Chips have gone down. Everyone's gotten excited. PokerBet is going absolutely wild there in the grandstands, along with our associate sponsors. This is going to be a race to the line for our top for third and fourth, and sixth has got a running of 4 cars coming at them. This is going to be a proper hang on, and all the steerings I can guarantee are getting finger grooves put into them by the drivers who are hanging on for dear life. Crystals has broken away from Fleming Bauer. De Villiers doing everything he can with Kleinans on the back of him, trying to force out an operation here, trying to see where he can get the pass. We have just heard leader is on the final lap. So Henry Mayer, who you see on circuit, is currently on his last lap. Johan Kleinans has got Furness Kuhlman up on the inside, now going around the outside. Both are charging. The Mustangs galloping across. And who's going to be late on the anchors? Because Gideon Rayner dives up on the inside. Rayner trying to get the pass done, gets past Kuhlman, but can he straight line it? Can he beat out the V8, the turbocharged V6 of the Ferrari 296? Late on the brakes, gets a turn in. Furness Kuhlman couldn't quite get the drive. Tries to go for the cutback, couldn't get it done there. Gideon Rayner stopping dead on the apex. That has opened up the gap to Johan Kleinans. Now Kuhlman's going to really deal it in. He's got to focus out on what needs to be done. De Villiers opening up that little bit more of a gap, breathing a sigh of relief at this point as he tries to make his way through. But it's Henry Mayer in first place, Bernard Barkhuizen in second. Third place is Crystals, who's broken away from the likes of Fleming Bauer, but not by much. 0.8 of a second between them. Fleming Bauer has got an opportunity here. He's got to go for that send. He has got to really dial it in. So the Martian Racing has got to go like Martin the Martian and say, oh, you darn rabbit, and suddenly pull out that bubble beam and really launch him into the air if he wants to get this done. Because Crystals is not going to come off the gas at any point. It's going to have to send it. You're going to have to really go for that charge. District 9 style for anyone that has watched it. And we have just got confirmation. Henry Mayer taking the win. Bernard Barkhuizen in second place. Crystals will be taking third. Fleming Bauer in fourth. Bego Krobler. Daniel De Villiers will come across the line. Ruben van der Walt, though, getting a drive-through penalty on the last. Johan Kleinans has got Gideon Rayner, still going to go at him. Tries to go for the final corner. Couldn't get the drive in. Gets on the gas. But it does look like Gideon Rayner is going to have to be content with that 8th place. Furness Kuhlman in 9th after a monumental fight. Ryan Barrington-Smith coming across the line. Paul Fenter, Mordred Claessens, Kerry Pukas, along with Brandon Holzhazen, Reginald Muttaleni still going around. He is going to be finishing up in that 15th position. Bradley Surley has got Kerry Fotel all on the back of him, trying to close up some time. Jody Seidman has got Tiernas Burta trying to come at him. Sean Verveers will be making his way through. Chris Collison going in, getting a little bit more drive. And we see Ruben van der Walt actually coming down the order. He, unfortunately, he's got that drive-through penalty that will be added on to his time at the end. Peter Meyer, Hansi Meyerberg, Henry Platt, Altman Burta, Ruan Free, Ruan Liebenberg, Jaco Krobler, Dean DePries, Jean Massard, Henk Petersen, Viertier Burta, rounding out our field. Oh boy, wow, that was a wild, wild race all the way through. And as we do see drivers coming through, Chris coming across the line, Ruben van der Walt will get 30 seconds added to him. So Chris finishing up in 21st. Peter Meyer comes across. And Henry Platt comes across the grid. Oh boy, let's go to a bit of a break. And we'll come back with all the action. Don't go anywhere. Wow, oh, wow. Sure, I'm out of breath there, folks, and I don't know about you. That was absolutely amazing to see the drivers really push through to get their way to the top. But ultimately, we can only have a top 3 that will be able to get their way through to the end, scoring valuable points for the RaceFace.Pro PokerBet GT3 Sprint Series here on a Wednesday night, and we're going to bring a couple of them up. Let's have a chat to Crystals as we say congratulations to that 3rd place. Crystals, welcome to the commentary box. Wow, oh wow, the Mustang finally getting onto the top spot. You have fought like there was no tomorrow. How was that race for you?
Hey, Stephen. Yeah, no, that was a very stressful race. Yeah, the pace of Barkhuizen and Henry was really quick. I couldn't match it, but I had a decent quality to get 2nd place, and I knew that overtaking would be difficult. So just tried to hold them behind. Unfortunately, couldn't hold the Barkhuizen behind today. But I mean, I'm in the company of some of the fastest guys, in South Africa and definitely in the league. So it's not too bad. I wasn't expecting it to go this well. So third place, I'll take it.
Well, let's talk about your start, because you squared yourself up in second place. You got yourself with a good run. You went launching through. Turn one got busy because you went on the defense immediately, middle of the circuit, and suddenly you had cars trying to split you down the middle. I mean, take us through that start of that race from getting off the line, which you didn't get Henry, but suddenly you had the entire field engulfing you, and you had to go on the defense. Take us through that first couple of corners.
Yeah, actually, I've been struggling the whole season with the Mustang on the starts. It's much different to the Ferrari, which is what I'm used to. So I've been struggling to get a good launch with the car. So once again, it was better than usual, but it was still not good enough. So immediately had to go defensive. And with the nature of the track going right and then left, always just best to kind of just put it in the middle and make it difficult for either option, because otherwise if you defend one, you get overtaken on the other side. So just immediately defensive. I was hoping to not have Barkhuizen behind me immediately, and hopefully Fleming, not to take anything away from Fleming, he was very fast and almost got me at the end, but yeah, Barkhuizen was putting me under a lot of pressure from the start, so it was very stressful, but I'm glad to get the podium at least.
Well, that's it. It's been an incredible one, but Chris, of the Delta Negative team, you got third place. You have earned the right to be here, and honestly, you are free to address all the petrol heads and our fantastic sponsors, and also our title sponsor, PokerBet, who has put down that 100,000 Rand prize pool of cash and PokerBet credits on the line. Chris, the floor is yours.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you to everyone who's involved in making this league happen. It's been a blast so far. Thank you to the sponsors, and thank you to Stephen yourself for commentating every week. Much appreciated. Wouldn't be the same without you. And I just want to give a shout out to my girlfriend and my family, who are always watching me every week and supporting. So thanks, guys.
Oh, there we go. Well done to the Stolz family, and also to the better half of Chris going and watching.
All right, cool.
All right, thank you very much, Chris. Lovely to chat to you, and we'll see you for next week's racing.
For sure. Cheers.
Well, absolutely incredible stuff there, but let's begin and start to bring in our next driver into the top, Bernard Barkhuizen. Bernard Barkhuizen, congratulations, as we're going to be pivoting from, well, all I could say is a Mustang, which is the old school radio shouting in your ears, to the McLaren doing a fantastic job out there. How are you feeling after that race?
I feel okay, yeah, thanks. B2 is pretty good. It's just I messed up the quali, but I think if I started in front of that Ford, it would have been a whole different race. But yeah, just unlucky there.
Well, you sound lucky. Yeah, I can agree with that, but second place, great charging. Take us through the race, because you had to really get on the gas quite early on and try and close up on a few positions. Now, we do know the McLaren is a little bit long to wake up its tires compared to every other car. Colder conditions plus nighttime, did you ever feel that the car wasn't going to play nicely with you, or did it feel a bit more planted?
Yeah, it wasn't too bad. I did a race yesterday in LFM, which I felt a bit better there. I don't know, probably it's just the conditions. But yeah, I think at the end, I think the McLaren was a bit better than the Ford on the tires. And we actually see that where Chris actually messed up in that one corner. So I think his tires definitely went quicker than mine. But yeah, it's still a good result.
Well, gotta say, you were going for passes on the outside, on the marbles. How did it feel going and defending and going on attack when you've got headlights just going and blocking up your view every right, left, and center mirror?
Look, it's very tricky, especially at Misano, which is a very slippery track, and you need your throttle control should be on point, or else oversteer is like, hectic. So so following that close while you have that back at the back of your mind, it's a constant reminder that if you go flat out, you might spin. But yeah, it's very, very tricky following close up on this track. But I don't know. I guess it's just I'm used to driving like that, and I guess practice builds racecraft, and that's what paid off end of the day.
Well, absolutely incredible stuff. Well, Bernard, second place for the OG team, the OG and KSR, and honestly, well deserved, maximizing good bit of points for the championship. But we're going to leave the floor to you to address our amazing fans out there in the PokerBet VIP grandstands, all the petrol heads going and shouting out and cheering on for you, and also for you to address your fellow competitors. Remember, keep it PG, but you can add a little bit of spice there as well to your competitors and your teammates.
Yeah. No, look, well done to Henry there. I think he's just a little bit, better than in the rest of the field at this track, especially. I think it's one of his favorite tracks, and it showed on his lap times and stuff. So, and to the viewers, hope it was an interesting race. I tried to make it as interesting as I can there with Chris. Hopefully that was exciting, and stay tuned for the next one.
Absolutely incredible stuff. Bernard Barkhuizen, second place here at Messino. Well done.
Thanks.
Well, moving on to our next driver, and taking that top spot goes to the one, the only, Henry Mayer. Wow, oh wow. Talk about on a climb and on a win. Henry Mayer, you have really come for a fight, pulling away at the end of the race, 7.6 seconds away from the rest of the field. But, man, how challenging was the track out there, because you made it look easy.
Steven, actually, this is one of my favorite tracks, so I don't mind it. I don't mind the conditions here. I think the important thing here is just to keep the track limits in order. But otherwise, plan went well. It was just trying to break the toe from the guys behind and then just keep it clean.
Well, let's talk about the race itself. You pulled away and you're now trying to pace yourself. How different is it to be in the front, trying to open up a gap, especially with the conditions being darker than what we usually race?
I think maybe if you're on your own, it's actually a bit more difficult because your attention can go away a bit at some points. Where if you're in the action, you're focused the whole time. So I think that might help with the darkness, just to have that bit of a push from behind.
Fair enough. And how was it going and carving your way through the traffic? Because we saw some amazing battles on track where the guys were all over one another, but you as a leader now trying to not lose time, suddenly having to weave in and out of those packs, definitely not an easy time.
It's not the easiest, but I have to say, like, in the RaceFace general, the back markers are good. Like, they don't normally hold you up that much. Like, they'll let you go as soon as possible, which I've seen in other leagues isn't normally the case. So I'm giving it, like, it's good back markers at this point.
Well, absolutely incredible stuff. Henry Mayer, you scored some points. It's getting into the closing stages of this championship. Do you feel that you've got your stride back?
Yes, let's wait for tomorrow night and then I'll answer the question.
Fair enough. Well, for all our sprint fans out there in the PokerBet VIP grandstands, is there anything that you would like to say to all the petrol heads, to all the teams, to all the sponsors, your competitors and teammates? The floor is yours. Remember, keep it PG-13, but you can add a bit of spice.
Stephen, just a massive thanks to RaceFace, PokerBet, all the sponsors, all the viewers, especially you doing the fantastic commentary. Thanks to great teammates, and thanks for Barkhuizen pushing it to the end, I guess.
Absolutely incredible stuff. Thank you very much, Henry Mayer. Glad to have you in the commentary box, and I look forward to chatting to you really, really soon as we get closer towards that grand prize pool of 100,000 Rand in cash and in PokerBet credits right here for the PokerBet GT3 Sprint Series.
Thank you, Steven.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it has been an absolutely wild one here tonight, and absolutely a phenomenal racing has been had by our competitors. But this is our GT3 Sprint Series. Tomorrow night at 8:10, we'll be going live for our RaceFace.Pro RaceFace.Pro PokerBet GT3 Sprint GT3 Championship. They will be going out and having a bit of fun. A little bit more longer racing, 1 hour, 20 minutes, 2 mandatory pit stops, and we've just seen some of the action here tonight where all the drivers are going to be a little bit heated under the collar to see what they can do. We'll look to try and get a bit of a chat between all the drivers and bring you all the information, all the news and info coming through from all the teams, all the drivers, and all the fun out there at RaceFace.Pro. But, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, make sure you go down to the description below and join in with PokerBet, as lots and lots of contests are on the line here, and you don't want to miss a single one of it right at RaceFace.Pro. Go and use it. It will help us with our affiliate link. Also, go out onto social media. Follow all our amazing social media out there, RaceFace.Pro on Facebook. Also, the PokerBet the PokerBet out on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. On North Machinery, Mart, along with SA Lube, Red Star Raceway. They've got a couple of track days coming up. You don't want to miss that, because if you're a big fan of bikes and cars, track days are for you at the amazing circuit. Plus, they're going to be introducing, it looks to be, some go-kart track days and short circuit for bikes. So if you do want to have a bit of fun on new setup, Red Star's got it for you. And Scallywags going and putting in some amazing drifting academy that you can go and join up on. Won't lie, I've got a special someone that I'm going to put in one of those cars. She's going to learn how to drift and hopefully make it a bit easier, because I've got to learn at some point either. But, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, thank you very much for joining us. And like always, right here from the THE Productions booth, a big shout out to likes of Tristan Herbs putting all the videos together and all the amazing overlays that you see currently out on the stream. Not able to join us here tonight, but was there in full support for his team and right here for all our drivers out on circuit. But like always, you can say it with me. Hey, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, everybody. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it has been an exciting time at Messina with some close racing and the championship even closer. We say farewell to round 6 here at Messina, but we go and say hello to our home circuit at Kailami for round 7, the second last race of the season. It's going to be a wild one. It's going to be exciting, so don't go anywhere, as right here at RaceFace.Pro, we've got you covered. With all the amazing racing that comes to you weekly, we have to give acknowledgement to our sponsors. Without them, this would not be possible here at RaceFace.Pro. So starting off with our first sponsor, let's go and take your hats off to PokerBet. For all the tournaments, for all the cash gains, daily free rolls, and sports betting, there's no better place to be and win with PokerBet. With it all revved up and you're looking for high speed, whether you're into drag, drift, or even long circuit, Red Star Raceway has got you covered. As we take a look off to all our machinery needs, head over to On North Machinery Mart. Remember to keep it slick with SA Lube, 20 years of Castrol distribution. Sliding in to keep you on your toes, Scallywags Drift Academy will keep you right at the top of the pack. And if you're looking for all your streaming needs, head over to Tenvo Tech for all the overlays. And once again, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's been an honor having you. We'll see you next time right here from